We're ready to move on now to hearing from Heather Menne, who's again with the Evaluation Office of the Administration for Community Living. She's going to give a little bit of background on what kinds of information they're seeking today and why. And then Cassandra and Ray will facilitate the discussion about sharing that information with them.
Good afternoon. As Jill mentioned, I'm Heather Menne at ACL's Office of Performance and Evaluation. So I do not oversee any of your grant funding. I am just here to take in all the information that you're sharing. On behalf of ACL, I oversee the evaluation of Older Americans Act programs, but I also assist some of our other programs with developing and testing performance measures. While I've worked on evaluating education programs for older adults, nutrition programs, and even programs for people with dementia, it is programs to support caregivers that I find as some of the most important. It truly is a pleasure to be here today, and I really enjoyed all the brag, and whatever it was, all the really great feedback and examples of what you've been doing recently. As you're aware, the Lifespan Respite Care Program, as articulated in the legislation, has the purpose of expanding and enhancing respite care services to family caregivers, improving the statewide dissemination and coordination of respite care, and to provide, supplement, or improve access and quality of respite care services to family caregivers with the aim of reducing family caregiver strain. And really, this is all to get those systems in place and running to support family caregivers. Did it work? Yes, okay. This is my ode to Rocket City with the arrow. As Arch and many of you and your colleagues have been noting, it's important to show the impact of these programs. This slide really shows how Arch and the grantees have taken many steps already to determining performance metrics for the Lifespan Respite programs. Work groups, sessions at the learning symposiums and conferences, reports, and already gathering and sharing of measurement tools on the Arch website have been really important. In addition, Arch also held focus groups with some of the respite grantees who volunteered to identify outcomes that might reasonably be expected of all Lifespan Respite grantees. Reasonably here is the important word. I would love to capture every bit of data possible. It's not always possible. But all of that work, as we see on this slide, as you have on your handouts, was all an important step in moving forward the ability to show the impact of these programs. Yes. Okay, so here we are today, ready for next steps to collecting performance metrics. And I know that could be a scary term. People may think that they don't have any data. Some people have mentioned all the data they have. I was expressing earlier to Susan that sometimes even keeping record of who attends your advisory committee meetings, that's data. Data is wonderful. So these steps we have here are going to combine the work that's already been completed. It's going to be used to identify the most suitable tool for data collection. We want to then test that tool with a small group of voluntary grantees. There is no funding available for this. Yeah, Victoria's like, shut up, Heather. And then we want to obtain approval from the U.S. Office of Management and Budget, which is one of the steps we need to go through, in alignment with what is known as the Paperwork Reduction Act. So again, reasonable data collection. We don't want you having to turn in 75 pages of reports that are all numbers. Narrative is one thing, numbers is another thing. Again, paperwork reduction. All of this in order to, in the future, include necessary performance measures in upcoming 2019, 2020 funding opportunity announcements. So as with the initial work in determining performance metrics, ACL, Arch, and the grantees partners, we hope, will work together to design a tool for collecting data. We'd like the grantees and our partners to be directly involved in the development and validation process surrounding this endeavor. Again, this is all in an effort to better identify trends in caregiving, as well as to inform ongoing federal investments in this area. So before I turn this over to Cassandra and Ray, I just have one more slide and a few more comments to make. What we are looking to do with this coming work is identify and test a method or tool for collecting performance measures. Sometimes spoken of along with performance measures is the idea of program evaluation. Our aim with this work is on performance measures and not program evaluation. The definition I have here, program evaluations are individual systematic studies conducted periodically or on an as-needed basis to assess how well a program is working. Program evaluations typically examine achievement of program objectives in the context of other aspects of the program performance or in the context in which it occurs. So right now, I'm overseeing an evaluation of our National Family Caregiver Support Program. This is a pretty in-depth. Some of the states have probably participated in either the State Unit on Aging surveys, helped us identify caregivers and supported this. That's pretty wide-reaching, and we're looking at a range of topics. Right now, we're next month doing our 12-month interview with caregivers to understand client outcomes. That's an evaluation. Performance measures, as we're looking at them here, are kind of snapshots of like selected, focused objectives and how those are doing at this point in time. While program evaluation helps us to learn the benefits of a program or how to improve it, this can include an exhaustive study of the who, what, where, when, and how of a program. With performance measures, we want to simply know whether a program has achieved its objectives. Or as the consideration below states, let's see if I can do this. The bottom bullet there provides a temperature reading. There we go. And as we go back to the purpose and definition at the top of this slide, we would like to be able to do that with measurable performance standards. Clarifying those measurable performance standards is where the next steps in our proposed work group comes in. One wonderful thing, and you all recognize this, about the programs supported through ACL is the ability to provide what is needed in that location, which may differ from place to place. This also makes it a bit trickier to show the larger impact of programs, such as the Lifespan Respite Care program. And at the same time, we want to not burden program staff, family members, consumers, and we want to make sure we can gather and report data that is practical. Another wonderful thing is the ongoing engagement and participation of the grantees and partners. We now have an opportunity to figure out what those performance standards should be and how we can collect them to demonstrate the good work of the Lifespan Respite grantees. It may not be easy, but from what I've seen already, I think that this is quite going to be a productive undertaking, and this is the group that can get it done. I've already seen the wonderful work you've been able to do. So, keeping in mind the purpose and considerations of performance measurement, Cassandra and Ray are going to facilitate the rest of our time this hour, or hour and a half, however much time we want to take, to help keep the progress moving. Afterwards, you are welcome to add your name to a sign-up list I have of states or grantees that want to participate in a data collection work group. There's also going to be kind of a summary email reminder that goes out just to recap what I've said, put it back in your head, so I know you're going to get inundated with a lot of information the next couple of days. And I really just want to thank you for your time today, and I guess I can try and, oh, Jeff. Jeff scares me, and I've only met him once before.
Just clarification by 2019 for our future planning. So when you say you're going to come up with the tool, so will this be on direct service, infrastructure, is it going to be standard, or what's that going to look like in your eyes?
That's TBD based on what the work group starts to put together. And the intention, just to give you a touch more detail, let's see. We're hoping to convene a work group to talk about some of these topics, and then we're going to develop a tool that we would then have some folks test probably next spring, summer, and then we still would need to retweak it, put it out for public comment. There's a lot of processes in the federal government. So it's TBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be helpful for us as, oh, sorry. Thought I was loud enough. I think that would be helpful for us that have grants over time, especially about having some standardized way to measure what we've been doing, because again, in our state, we've had a grant now for almost a decade, 1 year without. And so we're kind of struggling on where we want to go next, and while we appreciate the continued funding, having a standardized way would really help us where we would want to go with the grant, I guess. So that's all I was asking, and I'm definitely not smart enough to be on your work group, so I just had to ask that question.
I won't argue on your brilliance, because I think having people that are going to push us and push the questions that maybe we haven't thought about, and we're going to dive into that a little bit in the upcoming questions, is a really beneficial thing. So anyone that's willing to participate, I think we'll be willing to have them join the work group. Anything else I can try and answer? No? Okay. Thank you for your time.